According to YouTube, 916 of my subscribers are from a video I did installing an above-ground pool. Well, I'm sorry to say the pool is no longer, so we had three practical choices with this 15-foot flat circle. We could fill it back in, build a fire pit, or we could get a giant trampoline. You can probably guess what we decided to do. I did a good bit of research and decided on the Skywalker brand of trampolines. This isn't a sponsored post or anything like that, but it seemed to be the best value. I'll link to the exact one that I got in the description below. It came shipped in two fairly heavy boxes, so I unpacked them and laid out all the contents on the lawn. I watched the instructional video from Skywalker, which I'll link below, and then I got to work. The frame construction is pretty straightforward, but there are a couple things that you need to look out for. There are basic T-joints and then T-joints with a socket, and these need to alternate because the sockets hold the net support in place. In addition, there are pilot holes in the steel tubing that need to be facing the inside of the circle so that the self-tapping screws are hidden. I was confused at first, but it's a lot easier to put the frame together upside down like this and in smaller sections than trying to do it right side up and all at once. Also, if you have a power drill, this step goes a lot quicker because there are a couple of dozen screws that you need to drive. Once the 6 sections are assembled upside down, they flip over and connect to each other, making a giant circle, and the trampoline frame is complete. Connecting the first 2 sections was a little tricky, but it was very easy after that. With the frame connected, I unfolded and spread out the mat as well as the netting that makes up the safety walls. This next step was tedious because I needed to pull every D-ring on the mat through a slit in the bottom of the netting, kind of like buttoning up a dress shirt. I spread the netting and the mat out best I could and then started to button them together to the left of the warning label like the instructions said. However, I must have not read the instructions close enough because at the halfway point I noticed that there was this clip that attaches to the zipper, which means that I had to start over and flip the net 180 degrees. But instead of doing that, I just cut the clip off and will re-sew it in the correct place later. With the jump mat and netting attached, I started to connect the springs. I connected one spring to the left of the first T-joint and then the next spring all the way opposite of that one. I then connected another spring to the left of the next T-joint and worked my way around, adding a spring to each section until it was complete. They sent a tool to make this job easier, but I've been working out so I didn't need it. With all of the springs attached, I started to unfold and lay out the protective mat that covers the springs. It ties to the D-rings and the frame every 12 to 18 inches or so, and here's where I made another time-sucking mistake. I was about halfway done tying it off when I realized that the mat has slots cut out of the sides which are supposed to line up with the sockets that hold the supports for the protective net. In this case, I had to start over and untie all of those ties, and this set me back about 30 minutes. I didn't film much of this part because it was pretty frustrating, but trust me, it was a pain. And here you see how the mat is supposed to be lined up where that notch matches up with the socket. In this way it doesn't interfere with the supports that hold up the protective net. Okay, with the protective mat installed correctly, I moved on to the net supports and started covering the poles in foam sleeves. They screw together with the same self-tapping screws, and then they're inserted into the plastic caps that connect to the top of the net and hold it in place. And here is my third and thankfully final mistake. I connected the poles together incorrectly, so I had to unscrew them and put them back together the right way. There's a threaded screw that goes through the plastic cap, and that's why the orientation of the support is very important. Luckily, fixing this mistake only set me back about 10 minutes. Once the poles and caps were connected to the top of the net, I lifted the net into place one support at a time, and I've got to say that the T-joint sockets really did a nice job of holding them in place. There's very little play in them, and the entire structure felt very secure. And just like that, the trampoline was basically done. I capped off the bottom of the sockets, and the trampoline was complete.